Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me grab your attention right from the start. When God gives a dream, He's not trying to entertain you. He's trying to awaken you. A dream from God is not about personalities, politics, or platforms. It's about purpose, preparation, and kingdom perspective. So lean in, listen closely, because sometimes God will use the familiar faces of our world to shake us into spiritual reality. He'll use what you recognize to point you toward what you've forgotten. When God sends a warning, it is not meant to intimidate you or to shake you into panic. It is meant to awaken you, to bring your attention back to what truly matters. You see, too often we get caught up in the noise of the world. The headlines, the opinions, the chaos. And we forget that God is still in control. A warning from God is like a spotlight in the darkness, illuminating the path that we might be neglecting. It's His way of saying, pay attention, prepare your heart, align your steps with my purposes. And make no mistake, when God speaks, He does not do it casually. He does not whisper idle suggestions into the wind. When He issues a warning, it carries authority, weight, and urgency. Many people hear warnings and respond with fear. They focus on the threat instead of the opportunity. But here is the truth that will change the trajectory of your life. God's warnings are always designed to bring you into alignment with His will. They are not obstacles. They are invitations. Invitations to grow stronger, to trust deeper, and to position yourself in a way that nothing in the world can topple you. Think about it. When a storm is approaching, wise people do not curse the clouds. They prepare. They fortify their homes, gather resources, and make a plan. God's warnings operate on the same principle. They are not meant to produce despair. They are meant to produce diligence. And here is another truth. When God warns you, He is often giving you a glimpse of things before they happen. He is giving you foresight to navigate treacherous waters. That means you have a choice. You can ignore it and be caught unprepared, or you can respond in faith and wisdom. Every warning from God is a call to intentional action. Every nudge is a chance to reposition your life so that you are not shaken by the storms of the world. If you miss the warning, you miss the lesson. If you ignore the message, you forfeit the preparation God has already set in motion. But if you respond rightly, you walk into your future with confidence, equipped and anchored in the one who never changes. God's warnings are not about fear. They are about focus, about seeing beyond the moment, about stepping into His plan fully aware that He is orchestrating every detail. So when you sense God speaking, don't hesitate, don't debate, don't delay. Lean in, listen closely, and respond with obedience, because the warnings of God are always the gateways to His greater purposes. No earthly leader no political figure, no platform, and no system has the power to carry the weight of your hope. It's a truth that many of us struggle to grasp because we live in a world that conditions us to look for security in people rather than in God. We watch the news, we follow the elections, we debate the leaders, and we invest our emotional energy in the outcomes of men. And when the world shifts, when a leader falters, or when a decision doesn't go the way we expected, our hope begins to waver. But God is saying something different. Your hope is too valuable to be placed in something so fragile. Human strength is limited. Human plans are flawed. And human power is temporary. The moment you anchor your hope in anything but God, you set yourself up for disappointment. Think about it. History is full of leaders who rose to great heights and then fell. Nations have built their foundations on powerful individuals, only to see those pillars crumble. God allows these realities to show us where our dependence should truly lie. He wants us to realize that faith in Him is not theoretical, it's practical. Faith in Him is the only foundation that can hold when everything else collapses. You see, hope anchored in God is unshakable, unwavering, and unstoppable. It is a hope that does not fluctuate with polls, opinions, or policies. It is a hope that remains steady when the world is in chaos. And here's the hook that often gets overlooked. The people we elevate in our hearts, no matter how influential they seem, cannot save us, guide us perfectly, or secure our future. Only God can do that. When we allow ourselves to trust more in a person than in the Creator, we are setting ourselves on a foundation that cannot stand. That is why every collapse in the world around us should remind us of where our confidence belongs. God is reminding us, nudging us, and sometimes shaking us so that we will see that the throne we should be focused on is not in Washington, not in the White House, and not in any palace on earth, but in heaven. So when your world feels uncertain, when leaders make decisions that leave you unsettled, and when systems appear to crumble, do not panic. Lift your eyes and remember that your hope does not rest in human hands. It rests in the hands of the one who holds the universe. That hope will not fail. That hope will not falter. That hope will sustain you when everything else is shaking. Collapse around you does not mean collapse within you. So often, people allow the turbulence of the world to dictate the stability of their hearts. They see economies fall, leaders falter, and nations shake, and immediately their inner peace is gone. But God is saying, do not be moved by what you see with your eyes, because your foundation is not in what is seen, it is emet. The storms outside are not indicators of your spiritual health. They are reminders of the one who is unshakable. Every trial, every shift, every unexpected turn is an opportunity for your faith to be tested and strengthened, for your character to rise above the chaos. Here is a truth that will protect you. Just because the world is shaking does not mean that God is shaken. Just because systems collapse does not mean that your purpose collapses. The Lord who holds the heavens together is the same Lord who is holding your life. And this is the hook. When the noise of the world is deafening, when it seems like everything is falling apart, you have the choice to anchor your soul where it cannot be moved. That choice is not dependent on circumstances, but on your willingness to trust in God's promises. Many times, people are tempted to react to the external collapse by becoming fearful, anxious, or paralyzed. God is saying, do not confuse the fall of nations with the fall of your destiny. There is a difference between what is happening outside and what is happening inside. You can remain unshaken spiritually, even when the world appears to be crumbling. You can walk in confidence because your hope is not tied to what is fragile. It is tied to what is eternal. And here is another hook to lift your spirit. Collapse around, you can actually reveal the strength within you. When others are panicking, when fear is spreading like wildfire, God is testing to see who will stand firm on his word. Those who remain anchored will not only survive, they will thrive. They will emerge with wisdom, courage, and perspective that those who rely on worldly stability cannot understand. The tremors in society are not designed to defeat you. They are designed to elevate you if your heart remains rooted in God. God often shakes what is temporary in order to strengthen what is eternal. So many times we cling to things that feel secure. Our jobs, our finances, our routines, even our relationships, as if they could hold us forever. And when God allows these things to be shaken, it is not to punish us, it is to realign our hearts, to remind us where our true strength resides. Here is the truth. What is temporary will always be vulnerable, but what is eternal cannot be touched by the storms of life. God wants you to understand that every shaking, every disruption, every unexpected change is a divine opportunity for growth and preparation. The hook is this: when life shakes you, pay attention, because God is building your capacity for things that will last. Too often, people resist change because they see it as a loss. They mourn the stability they thought was permanent, and they forget that God is in the process of creating something far greater. The shake is a signal, a spiritual wake, up call saying, your security has never been in the temporary. I am your true foundation, and I am strengthening you for what is coming next. It's easy to be discouraged when systems fail, when people disappoint, when circumstances turn upside down. But here is the hook that will shift your perspective. The very things God allows to fall away are often the very things that keep you from rising into your destiny. When you allow your faith to remain anchored in God, during the shake, you develop resilience, endurance, and clarity that cannot be manufactured any other way. This is the moment when your character is being tested and refined. It's the time when your heart learns to trust in the unshakable rather than the fragile. And the power of this principle is undeniable. What God builds within you during times of shaking will outlast every temporary structure in your life. Do not fear the shake. Do not resent the disruption. Every disturbance is intentional, and every shake is a signal that God is at work, positioning you for the eternal. The hook here is undeniable. The stronger the shake, the greater the strengthening. The more unstable the world appears, the more God is preparing you to stand anchored and immovable on a foundation that cannot be shaken. The temporary is falling away, but the eternal is being built within you. Your security is found in the throne, not in the newsfeed. So often, people allow the events of the world to dictate the stability of their hearts. They scroll through headlines, listen to pundits, and watch the opinions of men, and immediately their peace begins to crumble. God is saying, stop letting the chaos outside determine the calm inside. The world will always have its ups and downs, its surprises and setbacks. But the throne of God is unchanging, unshakable, and eternal. The hook is this: when everything around you feels unstable, when systems falter and leaders fail, your security is not in what is passing. It is in what is permanent. Many of us have been conditioned to look to the world for reassurance, to find hope in what can be seen, measured, or influenced. We place our confidence in policies, platforms, or personalities, believing they will protect us or guide us safely through life. But God is reminding you that human hands are too weak, human plans too limited, and human power too fleeting to hold the weight of your soul. True security comes from recognizing that the one on the throne sees the beginning from the end, knows the paths that are safest, and orchestrates everything for your ultimate good. Here is the hook. When you anchor your heart in the throne, no external collapse can shake your inner peace. The challenge is that many people allow their attention to be hijacked by temporary events. They spend hours consumed with what cannot save them, worrying about outcomes beyond their control, and forgetting that God is already in control. God's call is to lift your eyes above of the turmoil and fix your gaze on Him. That focus transforms fear into faith, uncertainty into confidence, and anxiety into peace. The throne is a place of authority, stability, and perspective. And when your heart is anchored there, you can walk through storms without being overwhelmed by them. Here is another hook for your spirit. The world may change overnight. Governments may rise and fall. and crises may emerge without warning. But the one on the throne remains the same yesterday, today, and forever. When your trust is in the news feed, you will always be on edge. When your trust is in the throne, you will always stand firm. Your security is not dependent on human hands or worldly systems. It is dependent on the unshakable, sovereign God who rules above all and who will never fail to sustain those who place their hope in him. What God reveals, he also redeems. This is a truth that so many people miss because they focus only on the warning, only on the shake, only on the collapse around them. God does not show us trouble for the sake of fear. He reveals it for the sake of preparation. When he unveils what is coming, it is not to leave us paralyzed. It is to position us so that we can walk through it with wisdom, courage, and faith. Here is the hook. Every revelation from God is paired with a provision. Every glimpse of challenge is accompanied by a divine plan to navigate it successfully. Nothing God exposes in your life is without purpose. Too often, people see difficulty and assume defeat. They witness warning signs and think that collapse equals the end. But God is saying, if I allow you to see it, it means I am already working behind the scenes to redeem it. But when you understand this, your perspective changes. You begin to see trials not as stumbling blocks, but as stepping stones. You recognize that the very circumstances that seem threatening are the exact circumstances God can use to strengthen you, teach you, and elevate you. The hook here is undeniable. What is revealed by God is never revealed without an accompanying strategy for victory. God's redemption is always greater than the revelation. If he shows you a storm on the horizon, he is also preparing the shelter. If he exposes a weakness in your life, he is also providing the strength to overcome it. The key is to respond in faith and not fear. When your eyes are fixed on the revelation alone, you are tempted to despair. But when your eyes are fixed on the Redeemer, hope arises even in the most turbulent times. Every warning, every dream, every insight God gives is an opportunity to step into his protection, provision, and purpose. Here is another hook to lift your spirit. What God allows you to see in advance is never meant to defeat you. It is meant to equip you. It is designed to shift your perspective, sharpen your faith, and prepare your heart for the work he has called you to do. When you embrace both the revelation and the redemption, you gain clarity, courage, and confidence that nothing in the world can take away. God does not merely expose the problem. He equips you with the solution. And that solution is anchored in him. Let me close with this. If God allows you to see trouble coming, it means he has already prepared a path for you to overcome it. The collapse of the world is not the collapse of your destiny. The shaking of the nations is not the shaking of your identity. Your future is not tied to any name on a ballot. It's tied to the name above every name. So walk in faith, walk in courage, walk in kingdom confidence. Because when everything else falls, God still stands. And if you stand with him, you will stand through anything.